Hey guys, KRX50 here with another review. This time I'll be reviewing the deluxe Don OniTaijin from Avataro Sentai DonBrothers. This is the main mech of the DonBrothers, combined via the 5 Robotaro, which are transformed from the DonBrothers themselves. The set includes Don Robotaro, Saru Brother Robotaro, Oni Sister Robotaro, Inu Brother Robotaro, and Kiki Brother Robotaro. So, let's get started. First up, we have Don Robotaro. So the basic idea of the Robotaro, from what I can tell, is essentially to take the DonBrothers and make them both robotic and more like characters from the Tale of Momotaro that they're supposed to be based off. And of course, in the case of Don Momotaro, he's based on Momotaro himself. So starting off from the head, I have this helmet that is very samurai-like. You can kind of see the look of it on the side. A much more exaggerated pair of sunglasses, but still has the pink peach crest on the forehead. You'll see this top knot here, which has this end that looks like an Avataro gear. Then you come down to the body, where we've got the chest plate, which is meant to look like a Haori coat. You got the DonBrothers symbol here, nice gold. Also this pink mark in the center, which will come into play later. Got some very angular shoulders and fists. Got some pretty robotic looking waist and legs. You can see a nice little detail that, similar to Zenkai Juran from Zenkaiger, actually has both a normal red and a dark red that uses alternatively. It also change up the look of the coloring. Got the feet down here, which also changed from a normal silver to a dark silver, as well as these very small toes for the feet, which do come into play later for the combination. And here, come around to the back, where we have what will be the helmet for Don OniTaijin, just stuck on the back, as well as just some more mechanical details. Now, articulation-wise, there is a bit. Got a ball joint at the head, or at least something of a rotation and swivel joint. Swivel and hinge. And you can kind of see a little bit of the transformation just because this part here is also on its own hinge. That means you can look around. Unfortunately, the shoulders do not rotate, though the arms go outwards as well as the fists move inwards for the sake of the combination. Meanwhile, they can also move back a little bit, but again, that's for the sake of the joint combination. It has a rotating waist joint. And for the legs, you go forward and back one click. You can rotate around, though you don't want to rotate them too far, or else they'll pop off. Basically just one click in and out. Then for the knees, they're very tough, but they can bend to about a 90-degree angle. So, there is some posability here, but it's mostly to facilitate posability for Don OniTaijin. Before moving on to the next Robotaro, I want to make a couple of size comparisons. As you can see here, Don Momotaro himself is about the same size as Don Zenkaio, which in turn is about the same size as any normal version of Zenkaio, such as Juragaon or Rumajin, which is pretty impressive on its own. Then for the other comparison, here he is next to Kirameijin, and as you can see, he is actually bigger. I think this goes to show both how small the Kirameijin mechs were, as well as just how big these components to Don OniTaijin really are. Next, we have the Saru brother Robotaro, or Saru Robotaro for short. Now, despite Saru being monkey, it does lean a lot more on the gorilla side, just like with Saru brother himself, and is also kind of reminiscent of GT-02 Gorilla from Go Busters. But taking a look at the design starting from the head, you can definitely see the gorilla-like shape to it, and it has a molded in kind of fur texture. It's also on the shoulders and arms. The mouth and sunglasses there. Got a very mechanical yet also muscular looking chest, as you can see by the kind of molded on six-pack abs. We've got arms that are both organic and mechanical looking, since they have the fur texture, but also a lot of metal plating as well as pipes. We've got the hands here, which you can see can be kind of open palm for knuckle dragging. Rather small hind legs. Nice mechanical detailing that's on the back. And there is a kind of set of panels for a butt plate. Unfortunately, they did not paint it red, like how Saru Brothers' butt is red in the show. Now for his articulation, got again a ball joint at the head. And the arm articulation is interesting because it's more so in the right arm than the left. As you can see, there's this hinge connecting the head to the left shoulder. So that restricts the movement. So we can kind of get more free range of movement out of the right arm. So I'm going to rotate all the way around. Got a couple joints to move outwards. And rotate the bicep, like so. Has some joints to move the elbow. A proper ball joint at the hand. And then the fingers can open and close. And then the other articulation is that the legs move forward and back on these joints at the hip. So still pretty good articulation despite it being limited. Then we have Oni's sister Robotaro, or Oni Robotaro for short. She's the other humanoid Robotaro, though a lot more limited. However, her definitely kind of basically has her Oni elements accentuated. You can see some bigger horns here. Got these sunglasses, as well as a kind of jagged mouth down there. And one thing I want to note about these sunglasses is that the paint on it is easily scratchable. I did accidentally scratch a bit of the paint off of Oni's sister's sunglasses, so I had to kind of mark it up. So that's the kind of thing to be rather careful about, and it might be because all the sunglasses are on this sort of soft plastic instead of hard plastic. Getting on to the rest of the design, we have the chest with this metallic brown plate on it. Got our shoulder pads, which are designed to look similar to an Oni's iron club, down to the kind of gunmetal color and all the spikes on them. Got the arms and the waist, a bit more metallic brown on the shins, and then the legs that come down here to the bottom like that. See a lot more of the metallic brown on the back, but that's more for the sake of the combination. Now, articulation-wise, she definitely has perhaps the most limited, in that it's pretty much just a bit of a rotation at the head, a little bit of movement at the shoulders, but that's just for the sake of combination. And while there is a hinge joint here at the legs, I can see it's for both legs, and it doesn't really allow for any composability because, again, it's for the sake of the combination. After that, we have the Inu Brother Robotaro, or Inu Robotaro for short. Now this one is a pretty straightforward dog design, although it is a bit more reminiscent of a wolf. And it does kind of remind me of the wolf mech, whatever it's called, from Kakure Daishogun, aka the Ninja Megazord from Power Rangers. This kind of has that similar type of body shape. But anyway, starting off the head, then you have the very pronounced dog snout and dog head design, with the sunglasses of course. Got some nice bits of gold and light blue highlights, as well as gunmetal for the legs and tail. And it's overall a pretty sleek design. Articulation wise, the legs can rotate a few directions, so you can get in a few poses, such as kind of little jumping pose. You can somewhat get him into a sitting pose, or even, with the right finagling, a bit of a sitting up pose of sorts. And in addition, because of the way that this is going to be used later, the tail can move up and down, as well as side to side. And you might notice that the legs do pop off, but if need be, they can easily be popped back on just like that. And last but not least, we have the Kiki Brother Robotaro, or Kiki Robotaro for short. Now for this one, obviously we've gone full-on bird, but it has some very interesting things with the colors. I can see the main body is silver, and of course it's got to have pink, considering Kiki Brother's coloring, but it does so in an interesting way. Starting off with the head, got a nice bird-like design with the kind of feather-like, or wing-like sunglasses, as well as a nice beak. Then getting down to the body, you can see that not only does it have some bits of painted on pink, but also clear pink covering up silver parts. It has a very cybernetic technological look underneath those pink plastic parts. Which definitely does give it a very distinct look, and interestingly there's even a bit of dimension here to where some of the pieces are a bit recessed compared to the upper part of the wings. Then we have this big tail, which obviously you can see looks like a sword, which has some nice pink technological design that's kind of etched into it. Got a look from the bottom, as well as a look from the top. And there's also a little bit of articulation here, in that the neck can move down and back up, as well as the wings that can fold down at the shoulder point, as well as back up. And again, this is mostly for the transformation combination. After all that, we'll get to the proper combination, and we'll start by doing a bit of prep work. So for Don Robotaro, we're going to take the helmet and set it aside. For Inu Robotaro, we'll take him like this, fold down the body, fold up the legs, and fold down the tail to come the foot. Then, for Oni's sister, they'll fold up the legs entirely, and fold down the heel. Going to collapse in the arms, like so. Then slide the head back, rotate it around 180 degrees, bring it to this side, and then collapse it down. Come the other leg. For Saru Robotaro, we're going to detach the abs, set those aside, split apart at the center, And for the arms, we're going to rotate them like this, fold inward one notch, and close up the fists, as well as folding up the legs to the back. Same thing on this side. I'm going to take the head, rotate up like this. On this set of hinges, I'm going to bring it over so that's on the left shoulder. And for Kiki brother, I'm going to detach the tail, then split it into two swords. Split up the body, fold in the by halves and fold them down, fold down the wings. And take the neck and fold out like this, and then fold down a couple of hinges like so. And now we're ready to combine. Fold down the toes. Attach Oni brother and Oni sister as the legs. Fold up the arms of the shoulders and fold them back. Attach the arms via 3 connectors on the sides. Which is a little bit tricky, but is possible. Then take the wing pads and then attach them via clips on the back of the feet. Like that. I'm going to lift up the torso. Attach the ab piece in there. And close it down, revealing the DonBrothers symbol. Coming up here. Going to take the swords and then place them into the Saru brother feet, like so. Just like that. And take the helmet, like this, and place it onto the head to reveal the face. So click into place. And here we have Don OniTaijin, one of, if not the biggest, robo in Super Sentai history. And just to show off that size again, we'll do our size comparisons. First, we have Don Zenkaya, which you can see he's quite a bit taller than. And all the way over here we have little Kiramaijin, which it towers over. So again, giving you just a good idea of how massive this thing is. And I do specify Super Sentai history because in terms of Super Sentai / Power Rangers, the biggest toy mech we've gotten was the proper 5-piece combining Megazord from the reboot movie, which I never got, but if you've seen a review, you know how big that thing is. Anyways, getting on to the details. Starting off with the head, you can see that there was that nice little face reveal gimmick, where by putting the helmet onto the head, causes the visor to lift up, revealing a very stern-looking face, and creating this as a crest for the helmet. In fact, you go around to the back, you can see that it even molded the head so that the design matched up with the helmet when the two were connected. Then we have the shoulders, which have Kiki brother draped off as these nice shoulder pads, with Kiki brother and Saru brother's heads on the shoulders. You see the nice little DonBrothers symbol, revealed by inserting this into the chest and then moving down, which is a nice little kind of gimmick. It's not too intrusive. You see Saru Brothers' arms work very well as the arms of OniTaijin. Coming down to the legs, you see a good amount of balance between the Oni sister and Oni brother legs, despite them having quite different designs. And there really isn't too much on the back, aside from the arms being this kind of backpack piece. But that works out just fine. Now another big thing that this thing flaunts is its articulation. And for anyone who is a fan of Super Sentai or Power Rangers, they know that articulation is generally something that a lot of these mechs don't really have very much of. But, though it's not anything too spectacular, this is a lot better in terms of articulation than anything we've seen before from Super Sentai. So again, we have that rotation and hinge joint for the head. For the shoulders, got all that movement that we had from when it was attached to Saru Brother. And they did design so that these wing flaps would move out of the way when you move the shoulders. And it's also kind of why we've got this whole thing going on with the hinge here, to also help kind of accommodate for the articulation. Again, maintains that waist joint, as well as the joints in the legs. And it really did make the knees very strong, so that you're probably not going to have too much trouble there. Even going down to the new ankles, you can see that they do actually have a hinge to them, as well as a bit of pivot, which does open up a lot of possibilities for actual articulated poses. And speaking of things you can use to pose it, of course this also has weapons, being the twin Kijin swords, that normally take the appearance of kind of samurai flags that they may wear on their backs, but of course they're actually a pair of swords. So in order to use them, you can kind of take the shoulders, rotate the arms up like that. I'm going to open up the fist. A couple of holes here, which will fit into a couple of notches on the inside of the palms. Then you just close up the fingers like that. The same on the other side. And there we have an armed OniTaijin. Again, you can actually, even from a little cursory glance, get a little bit of posing out of him. Again, it's all about kind of finding that sort of balance and getting him into a stable pose where he will stay standing, because there's a lot of weight to this, but with the right adjustments, it can actually hold a pose. Something like this will actually work. So you can see, you got him holding these swords like that, and then with the legs and knees bent like that, is a kind of pose you really wouldn't see out of most other Sentai mechs. And for one more size comparison before wrapping things up, here is OniTaijin compared to Zenryoku Zenkaio. As you can see, OniTaijin actually stands a little bit taller than Zenryoku Zenkaio, even without the flags, though Zenryoku Zenkaio definitely has more bulk. But it is very impressive for the first combiner of this year's team to be the same size as the super combiner from last year's team. And there we go. Overall, OniTaijin is an incredible robo that was well worth waiting a few months compared to most other Sentai, which get their full combiner mech within the first couple of months, usually even within the first month itself. as you can see, they really did put a lot of effort into thinking up how this would combine and how it would be posable and articulated. And just to have these components that are this big, obviously it's really good for little kids who are going to have a blast with it, but also it makes it easier to use for pretty much anyone, regardless of age, because you do have less fiddly parts. And they also designed them for the sake of giving the combined form this much better articulation compared to other Sentai robos. And while it's not the most incredible posing in the world, and it does still have a bit of a limit on what kind of pose you can get into and still have it stand up, just the fact that you can have this kind of posability on a Sentai mech was previously unheard of, unthought of, because they really didn't focus that much on the posability and articulation. And it's a great design too, with a little bit of room to grow, because one thing I didn't show off is that the two chest plates for Don Robotaro are actually detachable pieces you put on out of the box. And there's also a couple of connectors on the back of the waist of Don OniTaijin, as well as connectors on the bottom of the feet, meaning there is definitely a potential for something else to combine with it in the future. Now this is a bit more on the pricier side of things, being around 9,000 yen. However, if you're living somewhere like the United States with the current currency exchange rate, it's actually a little bit more affordable if you buy it from somewhere that charges in yen, because you're actually going to be saving a lot of money compared to somewhere where you might pay for it in USD and have to pay a bit of a markup price. But regardless of what you pay for it, you're definitely going to get your money's worth out. This is hands down one of my favorite robos of all time, just for what an incredible job it does at not really having much of a gimmick to it, but just trying to be a good combiner that also lets you properly pose it. So look forward to what the designers at Bandai have in store for us with future upcoming mechs. And again, if you can afford this, I absolutely recommend picking this up. Next time we're going to be looking at things on a smaller scale and taking a look at Don Momotaro Alter. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is KRX50, riding off.